I kicked out my son for making dark humor TikToks about our daughter's death. My daughter 16 died 7 months ago in a car accident. The other driver was speeding and weaving in and out of traffic like a maniac on the highway, ultimately hitting my baby girl. The driver died on impact, but she died 6 hours later in the hospital due to her injuries. My wife and I attend individual therapy, as well as marriage counseling. It's been extremely hard for both of us, though we have made considerable progress given the circumstances. We begged our son to get therapy and go to family counseling with us, but he refused. He's 19 and in college, so we can't force him to go. Our therapist gave us a list of warning signs to look out for, and he seemed to be coping well with the loss. We decided to let him grieve in his own way. The issue is my wife discovered a video my son made that went viral on TikTok. It was reposted by another account. It was a dark humor video, before and after getting my driver's license, which was her school picture, and then a picture of her gravestone and totaled car. The 3,000 comments were extremely messed up and had similar jokes. We found his account, which had more than one video like this. Us Then versus Now, which had a baby photo of them and then cut to a selfie of him next to her hospital bed before she died. There were in total 5 different posts similar to this, each similarly more disgusting. My wife was inconsolable. She had a severe mental breakdown. I had to take her to the ER so she can be sedated and given fluids due to her vomiting and hyperventilating. I confronted my son, who defended himself saying he uses these videos to cope with her death. That dark humor is the way he grieves. I could barely look at him. I told him to pack his things and stay with his grandparents. He was angry and said, "We both need to move the freak on and stop taking our grief out on him." It's been 2 weeks, and my wife doesn't want to be anywhere near my son anytime soon. I can't say I disagree. It's been about giant 10 steps back for both our grieving process. Our son gone was supposed to be temporary, but my wife and I think it's time for him move into an off-campus student apartment to give us all some space and establish boundaries. We haven't told him this yet, but plan to when he returns home next week. While he was away, he did apologize in a text to both my wife and I. However, he still insists it wasn't wrong for him to post those videos publicly for millions of people to see. He believes we are being too dramatic and taking it too personal. It took me threatening to disown him before he took down the videos. A few of my friends think we are going too far by essentially abandoning him and kicking him out of our home. They said to keep in mind he's still a stupid kid, and he's digging in his heels because he wants attention. We'll be paying for his rent, but he will have to cover the other costs himself, food, gas. Since that's the most we can afford right now, he will have to get a part-time job while going to class. We still love our son, but neither of us can handle this right now for the sake of our marriage and mental health. Honestly, I think I need to put my wife first here, and if that means he needs to leave, then I'll do that for her. Plus he's 19 turning 20 soon, so it's not like he's a child. Final update. I kicked out my son for making dark humor TikToks about our daughter's death. Firstly, I'd like to send a sincere thank you to everyone who not only commented, but read my original post. This is a very dark and vulnerable time for my family. We are lost, confused, and battling with a grief that has consumed us so entirely it hurts to physically breathe most days. Secondly, my son is a good man, son and brother. He loved and cherished his sister deeply, and I know in my heart that it was never his intention to make light of her death, nor would he ever intentionally hurt his mother, myself, or anyone. It's been an emotionally exhausting and draining last few hours for both my family and I. However, I am happy to provide a bittersweet update for all the wonderful people who took the time to read my original post. You all helped me realize I needed to act now and fast if I were to ever repair our family. I called my son on the phone after reading the comments. I asked him why he posted those videos. He said he was just hurting. We were quiet for a while. His voice broke when he asked if me and his mom still love him. I failed my son. I failed him. What he needed was a father who gave unconditional love, support, and protection. He needed his dad. I was too stupid, selfish, and angry to see he was hurting more deeply than any of us. We lost our daughter, but he had lost his sister. We needed him to be the strong, mature son for his broken parents, the brave one, the one to shoulder our pain. We took his cry for help as in kicking us while we were down. My wife and I immediately left to go pick him up and bring him home. What I saw was a broken little boy needing his mom and dad. not the pathological monster our grief painted him as. He had visible bags under his eyes and lost a lot of weight. We were too blind to see it. We both profusely apologized, and will be showing him how sorry we are for the rest of our lives. We vowed to do right by him. We all cried together on the couch for a while. Our son is taking a year off of school to heal and work on his mental health by his request. He also agreed to attending weekly therapy. He will be home with us. We will also be seeing a family therapist. My wife is seeking medication to get a handle on her panic attacks. I signed up for a grief support group specifically for fathers. This is all just a start for a very long and difficult journey ahead of us. Thank you everyone for giving me a major kick in the butt and a wake-up call. I may have lost a daughter, but I will not be losing my son. Not now or ever again. To every single user who upvoted, read, commented, or private messaged me on the post, thank you. I am eternally grateful. You all saved my family and prevented my wife and I from making the biggest mistake of our lives. I will be still reading all the new comments pouring in. This community can move mountains and affect the lives of real people facing real issues. I've learned a lot about what grief means for different people. No one's grief is invalid or wrong, and everyone handles it differently. This is a lesson I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. This morning I am making pancakes and bacon while my son and my wife watch Netflix in the family room. The windows are open. Our daughter's cat actually came out of her room on her own for the first time to lay on the couch with them. Our lazy Saturday. It's the first time in months we did this since our daughter passed. It feels bittersweet, different.
Am I the a-hole for canceling vacation less than 24 hours in due to my kids' behavior? My husband and I have 3 kids, boy 9, boy 8, and girl 3. The boys have been driving us crazy. They fight like cats and dogs. We've had countless talks with them about respecting each other, to no avail. I understand sibling rivalry, but it's gotten to the point it's disruptive to us all every day. I already told my husband last week I wasn't sure if the vacation was a good idea. My husband shut me down pretty much immediately and things went ahead as planned. First of all, the 3.5-hour car ride was predictably hell. Boys fighting and riling each other up the whole time. Husband and I kept trying to reassure each other that things would be better once we got there and they would be too excited to cause trouble. We were wrong. They had so many reminders of what not to do once we got to the rental house. So they do everything wrong from the get-go. Shoes on the white furniture? Check. Running in the house? Check. I turned my back for 2 seconds and the 8-year-old threw a box of chalk in the pool to keep his brother from getting it. We went out to lunch and they were out of control in the restaurant. 9-year-old ran away from us in a strange place because he didn't get his way. We finally go to the beach and they are frankly being brats. Refusing sunscreen, fighting over toys, pushing their luck repeatedly, going farther and farther out in the water than we told them to. Cursing. By the time we got back to the house, it was around dinner time and I was fed up. They were totally ruining it for everybody. Nothing had worked and I told my husband we needed to go home, for the reasons mentioned above, mainly that they needed to see a real consequence. My husband still insisted it would get better. I put my foot down and told him that I didn't even want to be there at that point, so either I was leaving, or we all were. He got super pissed and told me it was ridiculous and unfair to our daughter. I actually agree with him but saw no other choice at this point. Of course, when I tell the kids, they immediately burst into tears and are begging to stay, promising they will behave. My mother, who came with us, was also near tears. She thinks her precious grandbabies do no wrong. She argued with me too, begging me to just let it go, but I refused to budge. So, we left, less than 24 hours into a 4-day vacation. Half the ride home was spent with them sobbing, and my husband pretty much gave me the silent treatment the whole way. My mother decided to stay behind a little longer, but then started randomly texting me about 30 minutes in, asking if I was serious. She knew I was, and told me the whole reason she came was to spend time with the kids, so I had now ruined it for everybody and their only little ones. Here we are, following evening, and pretty much no one likes me right now except my 3-year-old. Are they right? Am I the a-hole?